Now, we've been told for decades that fiber is good for us, that it keeps our digestion on track, helps us lose weight, supports heart health. And that's partially true. But what if I told you that some of the most popular high fiber foods on the market, even ones that you're buying at health food stores, are a complete waste of time, or worse, actually harming your gut and making you sick? Today, I'm going to reveal some of the best sources of fiber and expose the ones that sound healthy but can actually leave you bloated, tired, and frustrated. So let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube or follow this podcast wherever you listen. It's totally free. And by the way, you won't miss a thing that way. Okay, let's get into You've Been Lied To About Fiber topic. The worst fiber number one, whole grain cereals and breads. Big food companies love to market whole grain as a health halo. But let me ask you something. If whole wheat is so good for us, why did humans spend thousands of years carefully removing the outer husk of the grain and only eating the soft, white interior? Why did the South American and Central American people who invented corn go to the trouble of treating corn kernels with lye or boiling them in lime juice to remove the hull, a process called mictonization, to make pozole or hominy, and then hominy grits or masa harina flour? Why did they do that? Why do 4 billion people who use rice as their staple go to the trouble of taking the hull of brown rice off and they eat their rice white? Why do all of these cultures do this? Because they've learned through centuries that the outer hull of grains are dangerous, that are bad for them. And just remember that the next time you see whole grain goodness. The husk in wheat, what we call wheat bran, is mostly insoluble fiber. Now, let's explain fiber. There's essentially two kinds of fiber. Insoluble fiber means that if you drop that fiber into a glass of water and stir it around, it will never dissolve. It will never mix in. Soluble fiber, on the other hand, means exactly that. If you take soluble fiber and put it into water, it will dissolve. One way of thinking about that, sugar is soluble in water. If you put a couple teaspoons of sugar in water, stir it around, it disappears. If you put sugar in your coffee or tea, stir it around, it disappears. That's because the sugar is soluble in water. Well, it's the same with fiber. There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber. Here's the problem with insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber in general does not feed gut bacteria. Gut bacteria are not interested in fermenting it. But even worse, insoluble fiber makes your bowels move. And that's touted as a really good thing. But think about the last time you had food poisoning. What happened? You ran to the bathroom and got rid of everything you ate very quickly with basically watery diarrhea. And that was the end of things, hopefully. Your intestines said, oh my gosh, there is something really bothering me. It is irritating the inside of the lining of my gut, and I got to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Guess what insoluble fiber does to the wall of your gut? If you answered, it irritates it, you're correct. It's literally like swallowing razor blades. And your gut is not dumb. It tries to get rid of it quicker, which explains why insoluble fiber is pretty good at making you have a bowel movement. But it's not good for you. You're having a bowel movement because your body knows it's foreign and it's hurting you and it's trying to get it out as fast as possible. Think about that the next time you're hoping to have a bowel movement with insoluble fiber. It literally scratches holes in the wall of your colon. Worst fiber number 2, instant oatmeal. Now, this one's everywhere, especially in the healthy breakfast aisle. But instant oats are highly processed, often loaded with sugar and flavorings, and they have a high glycemic index. That means they spike your blood sugar, the exact opposite of what you really want in a high fiber food. And regular oatmeal is also a nightmare. Almost all oats tested in this country, even organic ones, test positive for glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. They also test positive for another herbicide that is banned by the EPA as causing cancer and birth defects, but it's in almost all oats. So if you think oats are a healthy way of getting fiber in your diet, think again. Now, I often see patients who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, and they've been told that they should start their day with a healthy bowl of oatmeal as a way to regulate their blood sugar. And recently, I had a patient who we had really well on track. Their hemoglobin A1C was coming down, their insulin levels were coming down. And again, I see my patients usually every 3 months. The next time I saw them, the insulin was way up, their hemoglobin A1C was way up, their blood sugar was way up, their insulin resistance was way up. And I went, "What the heck? You were doing so well." And he said, "Well, I was doing so well, and then my regular doctor said we can do even better if I add a bowl of overnight oats to my diet." And that was the exact thing that happened. That's the only thing that he changed in his diet, and we could see it as night and day. And unfortunately, I see this all the time. Oats are not a healthy way to improve your health. Quite the opposite. Worst fiber number 3. High fiber cereal bars. Now, folks, these are just candy bars in disguise. A little bit of added fiber doesn't cancel out the chocolate chips, the syrups, and the sugary fruit paste. Also, these bars in general don't tell you the type of fiber. Just remember that most of the companies that produce cereal bars, like Kellogg's, are grain companies. So they're going to load their cereal bars with inflammatory cereal grains. Now, sad fact, you may know that the founder of one of the most popular energy bars, and I won't mention their name out of respect, actually died of a heart attack at a very young age. Worst fiber number 4, fruit juice with added fiber. Now, this is a classic big food trick. Take something unhealthy, like sugary fruit juice, add a sprinkle of fiber, and suddenly it's marketed as digestive support. Now, let me be clear. There is no added amount of fiber that you could add to fruit juice that could undo the damage of high sugar fruit juice. It's just not going to happen. Buyer beware. Well, okay. Are there actually soluble fibers that support gut health? You betcha. So soluble fiber, once again, that is fiber. Those are long chain sugar molecules that are all bound together with chemical bonds. That's really the definition of soluble fiber. Another word for it is polysaccharides. Poly means many, saccharides means sugar. And the longer these sugar molecules are, and the tighter the bonds between these sugar molecules, the more they resist digestion by your digestive enzymes and make it down to your colon, your large intestine, where most of your gut buddies live. So the tighter those bonds, the longer the chain of polysaccharides, the more likely they're going to get to where they're needed, and that's down in your gut. Now, here's the ones that I personally use. The best fiber, number 1, the chicory family vegetables. Things like radicchio. Now, radicchio you can find in almost every grocery store now. Some people call it the Italian red lettuce. It looks like a tight ball of an iceberg lettuce or a cabbage. It's actually not. It's chicory. Endive. You can find Belgian endive in Trader Joe's. You can find it in every grocery store. You can find it now in lots of mixes. You'll see butter lettuce and radicchio at Trader Joe's. These chicory family of vegetables are loaded with a soluble fiber called inulin. And inulin is one of the favorite bug foods that you can eat. Interestingly enough, as many of you know, I spend a lot of time in Italy and the south of France. I have never been served a salad in the south of France or in all of Italy that doesn't have at least one or two different forms of chicory in that salad. In fact, the famous tricolore salad of Italy has two chicory vegetables, Belgian endive, radicchio, and then it has arugula, which is a cruciferous family of vegetables. So isn't that interesting that one of the most famous salads of Italy has two chicory family vegetables in it? Second best, ground flaxseed. Now, flaxseed is fantastic soluble fiber source that also contains short-chain fatty acids called alpha-linolenic acid, ALA for short. Study after study after study shows that the more alpha-linolenic acid that you get in your diet, the healthier your heart is, the healthier your blood vessels are, and the good news is the less bad bacterial pieces, called LPSs, get into your bloodstream. And I document this in my patients all the time. We up their alpha-linolenic acid intake, and lo and behold, their LPSs fall, their inflammation markers fall, and flax seeds are a great way to get it into your diet. Here's the proviso. Please buy them whole, keep them in your refrigerator, buy a little coffee grinder, grind them up, and then put it in your water, put it in your smoothie, put it in your goat or sheep plain yogurt. Lots of ways to add it. If you have to buy it ground, buy it in the refrigerator section and then keep it in the refrigerator. Flaxseed goes rancid very quickly, and I don't want you to be harmed by something so healthy as flax seeds. Number 3, Psyllium Husk. Now, this is one of the purest sources of soluble fiber, and it's really easy to stir into water or add to smoothies. And the cool thing about psyllium is that it does not produce gas in your intestines as they ferment it. So if you're worried that fiber is going to make you bloat, make you gassy, and you're going to look pregnant, psyllium fiber doesn't do that, but it still feeds your gut buddies. Now, buyer beware. Please read the label carefully on psyllium products. Some are high in sugar, including a commercial brand. Or if it says no sugar added, look for an artificial sweetener. Some of the most popular big name commercial brands have artificial sweeteners like sucralose, which does a great job of killing off your gut buddies. Just get the natural stuff and you'll be way ahead. Buy 100% psyllium, organic preferably. All right, number 4, resistant starches. Now remember, any starch is just chains of sugar molecules bound together with chemical bonds. That's what makes a starch rather than just a sugar. The longer these chains are, the more tightly the bond is, the more resistant that starch is to your enzymes digesting it and turning it into sugar, which you absorb, and that way it makes it down to your gut buddies who really need it. There's lots of ways to do this. You can take root vegetables like purple sweet potatoes or yams, cook them, then put them in the refrigerator, and then reheat them. The refrigeration will actually result in much higher resistant fiber content than if you ate it fresh out of the oven or off the grill. So cook, cool, reheat is the way to go. Word to the wise. If you're trying to lose weight, or if you have insulin resistance or an elevated insulin level like 88% of Americans do, don't go crazy on these resistant starches. And if weight loss is your goal, I advise my patients really only have them once or twice a week. I see people go crazy on resistant starches, but unfortunately, they're still mostly sugar, and there's better ways to feed your gut buddies. Number 5 and number 6, jicama and avocados. Now, jicama is a root vegetable. It's crunchy, refreshing. Some people think it tastes like a Japanese pear. I agree. And it's full of prebiotic fiber. But use jicama as a dipping chip or stick for guacamole. That way you get a double benefit. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats. They're rich in fiber. They're incredibly low in sugar. So using a 1-2 punch of a guacamole with a dipping chip of jicama gets you double the fiber, double the fun. And as I always say, eat an avocado a day. This can actually help you lose weight. Okay, why all this matters? The reason soluble fiber matters isn't your digestion. When your gut bugs eat the right fiber, they create postbiotics, including short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Now, butyrate isn't just good for your gut. Believe me, it is. Your colon cells, 80% of all their nourishment comes from butyrate. But butyrate is the holy grail of everything in health. It's a fuel for your mitochondria. It supports your immune system. It even supports your brain cells. This is why I always say, if you feed your gut bugs what they need, they'll take care of the rest of you. Okay, final takeaways. To reiterate, you need more fiber, but you need the right fiber. And don't be fooled by cereal companies who are just marketing a bowl of cereal compressed into a fiber bar to make you think you're suddenly eating something healthy. Find the sources of fiber that dissolve in water. So the next time you see high fiber on a package, flip it over. It's most likely full of sugar or wheat bran or other grain brands, and will often have an artificial sweetener to fool you even more. Leave that on the shelf. One final thing about soluble fiber. If you're trying to fast or cut cravings, try this superpower trick. A scoop of prebiotic fiber in water in the morning doesn't break your fast, and it feeds your gut bacteria. And your gut bacteria, if you feed them what they want, they literally send text messages to the hunger center in your brain that say, hey, we got everything we need today. You don't have to go looking for anything else because our needs are met. How do we know this? There's a fascinating several studies done in China where they took volunteers, put them on a 7 or 14-day water fast. All they got was water. Half of the group got 100 calories of prebiotic soluble fiber. We can't digest it, but our gut bugs can. The other group just got water. The group that got the prebiotic fiber had absolutely no hunger, none, for 7 to 14 days. Why? Because their gut bugs were fed, and the gut bugs sent the text messages to the brain saying, we're good, you don't have to go looking for anything else. And it's called the gut-centric theory of hunger. I've written about it extensively. We now know that if you give your gut bugs what they want to eat, they'll make GLP-1, and they'll make cholecystokinin, CCK. GLP-1, where have we heard about that? Oh, that's the injectables that make you not hungry. Make your gut buddies happy. They'll make GLP-1 for you. You won't be hungry naturally. So when you feed your gut bacteria, they return the favor. More amazing episodes just like this one Watch now. So getting more soluble fiber back into your diet is one of the first steps to fix constipation. Where do you get them?